What up, this is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Special Con for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. We're here in London. Sky Sports and Boxer are just about to announce their new signing, Olympic silver medalist Ben Whitaker. Delighted to be joined by former world champion Pauli Malginaggi. Pauli, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh off the plane, coffee'd up. Wait, I was almost passing out getting off the plane, but now they've got me coffee'd up and I'm woke again.
Yeah, I know you're a big coffee man. I remember the last time I interviewed you in Box Party.
Well, you know, the thing is, when you take these overnight flights, it's the coffee that gets you through the day when you arrive.
Is it a New York thing?
It's an Italian thing, but it could be definitely a New York thing too. We've got to keep on the move, you know?
Right, talk to us about the new signing on
Whitaker is a stud. I mean, there's not a lot you can say, not a lot needs to be said, but, you know, terrific amateur standout. He's been really sought after for a while. Took his time making the deals that he wanted to make, and really, boxer are really should really be fortunate and blessed to have a guy like this. I think he's very promotable, he's very marketable, has a charisma to him, has a terrific fighting ability, and also an incredible fighting spirit. You know, I always like to see fighters that expect the best of themselves and hold themselves to a very high standard. I know a lot of people had a lot of comments about him taking off the silver medal on the podium at the Olympics, but I like to see that. It's not a disrespect to anybody. I like to see athletes that hold themselves to the highest standards, and that's all he was saying, was he held himself to a higher standard than a silver. He held himself to the best standard. So I look forward to seeing his development as a pro, because this is a kid who's got desire and hunger, and his personality exudes that.
What have you made of Sky Sports so far this year? They had an action-packed February with Williams, Fast Brook, Taylor Canelo'S.
I think Sky Sports is one of the pioneers here. You know what I mean? Yes, there's other networks coming into the fray, and you know, the new app technology is coming into the fray. But really, you can never go away fully from the old school mentality, because even your older generations that aren't familiar with apps and things like that, Sky is one of those channels that everybody can understand and can gravitate to. Older people and new generation as well. You know, that never goes away. New things may come in, but this old platform never goes away. And Sky has been synonymous with big-time boxing for a long time. So it doesn't surprise me that they're coming back into the fray on such a big level. And these moves that are being made are only going to continue to push Sky Sports to a high level when it comes to big-time boxing.
Pauli, brutally honest, what do you think went wrong for Canelo'S last Saturday against Bivol-Eubank?
Listen, he's accomplished a lot. You know, when you're a fighter of this magnitude, you're always under the microscope for the little criticisms, right? It's part of being a big-time fighter, part of being a big-time star. If people aren't nitpicking every little thing about you, maybe you're not as important as maybe you might be. When people start to nitpick literally everything, it's because you're such a big deal that they're looking for something to nitpick at. And really, when it comes to Canelo'S, yes, I thought he got dominated in the fight. Truthfully, I do. I thought Dimitri Bivol fought an excellent fight. But you still can't take away from what Canelo has accomplished, both for Mexican boxing, for his own career, and for boxing overall. This is a guy that anytime he fights, everybody's talking about it. You know, I found a lot of casuals talking to me about this fight and saying, "Oh, it was such a shock." And that tells me you're a casual. If it was a big shock, you're a casual. You know what I'm saying? So the reason Canelo is such a big-time fighter is because he attracts everybody to watch his fights, you know, and then they want to talk about it, you know. And so you gotta still know how to take the positive out of even a negative situation here. This is a guy that has everybody watching our sport, and you need one or two of these guys in every generation in order to keep the sport synonymous with the big time. Otherwise, we really just fall into this whole niche category, which we sort of fallen into, right? So it's guys like Canelo'S who keep us mainstream, who get everybody talking about the sport. So when it comes to, he may have lost, yes, but I think he's a topic of conversation. Setbacks make for comebacks, as Floyd Mayweather once was quoted as saying, right? And I think he's still going to remain synonymous with big-time boxing. Listen, Dimitri Bivol was able to elevate himself deservedly through a win over Canelo'S. This was a guy who I thought was tremendously being underappreciated, both going into the fight and even during his career. I thought I think Bivol is a tremendous fighter. So even Bivol has some gratitude to give to Canelo Alvarez for the ability to now get himself to be such a known worldwide fighter because of this win. So again, the root is still Canelo Alvarez in this generation. Whether he wins, whether he loses, it's still rooted in Canelo.
Many people label his performance as sluggish. They said that Canelo looked fine. If you look at since 2017, there's been 2 fights with Golovkin. There's been, the last year, Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant. He's been moved up from 160 to 168, and then he's gone up to 175 fight. Do you believe that it just finally caught up with Canelo, these challenges and moving up weight?
I think it's not that it caught up with him. I think you end up biting off more than you can chew eventually. I don't think Bivol was ever a good style for him. Canelo has never had a busy boxing style, and that was one thing that worried me going into this fight. I said it. If you look at my analysis before the fight, I said it. Like, Dimitri Bivol has a busy style, and Canelo likes to fight at his pace. And if he doesn't fight at his pace, he's a little bit uncomfortable, and you've seen that throughout his career. It's just that he's able to force you to respect his pace. Now, I've talked about Eastern European fighters before. They typically are more stubborn mentally. They will not submit to you. Golovkin did the same thing. They had a mental and physical battle in those 2 fights with Canelo Alvarez. They don't submit to you, these Eastern Euros. Kovalev was a little bit past his prime. You can see mentally he's a little bit checked out. It wasn't the crusher Kovalev that was at one time who Kovalev was. So, you can kind of take that, but you take that with a grain of salt. Bivol was still hungry. He still had a prime age. So, he wasn't submitting to Canelo forcing him to respect him and diminishing his pace. Bivol actually picked up the pace as the fight went along. And that goes to show you his mental strength, his experience, and also just the culture he comes from as well. So I think ultimately a guy with a good pace that can maintain a good pace is always going to give Canelo a little bit of problems. The problem with Bivol is he's also bigger, so he's harder to hurt. He's harder to force to respect your pace. And so Bivol started to enforce his pace on Canelo, and Canelo never likes to fight at a fast pace. Plus, you add to the fact that it's a bigger weight class. Let's face it, it's not Canelo's natural weight, so you're carrying around extra weight that you're usually not carrying that much around when you're in the ring fighting. Even if he walks around heavier, it's still not the same as when you're carrying around inside the ring in a combat situation. So it made him a little sluggish. It probably made him a little tired, and the fact that Bivol rose to the occasion and his pace, he only got more and more confident every round. I think eventually let Canelo realize that this is probably a bit more than he can chew, because I didn't see Canelo really biting down late in the fight. I think he almost was resigned to the fact that he couldn't keep up with Bivol. And again, you can criticize him if you want, but really look at the overall body of work. Again, this is a guy that not just what he's done for his own career, but what he's done for boxing in general. You win and you lose in sports. It's not just combat sports. Sports is winning and losing. You still have to take the positives and the negatives out of this situation. And I think he'll be back.
Everybody was set for that third fight with Triple G as well. Obviously now that's not going to be the case. I believe that Canelo has accepted I believe that there was a rematch in the contract. Slightly, we will get a second fight a little bit more. Now, you were close to the Sky Sports boxer. One of their main faces is Chris Eubank Jr., who fought for the fight with Golovkin after Canelo's defeat. Is Eubank Jr. now at the stage where he can finally get Golovkin at the right time of Golovkin's career?
I think Eubank Jr. is certainly in the mix, and he's in the fray to demand such a fight. And Golovkin, honestly, I wouldn't say that he's definitely not going to get the Canelo fight. I think when Canelo goes back with his team and talks about whether they should take the immediate rematch with Bivol, I still think the Golovkin fight is the way to go for them. Because I was saying when he decided to accept the DAZN deal, that I think this has a back-end softer fight that you can take even if you lose to Bivol. While with the PBC deal, if you lose to Charlo, you have Benavidez waiting in the wings. It's hard fight and hard fight. Golovkin, let's face it, he's a little bit past his prime now. I didn't like the way he looked against Murata. It's always a fight that you can use to sell, even as a comeback fight for Golovkin for Canelo before going back into a fight with Bivol. Having said that, if they don't make the Golovkin fight with Canelo, Eubank Jr. is certainly in the mix to be demanding these kind of fights at this point. He's more than proven himself. He's got the reputation. He's got a big name in the UK. At this point, his name is being recognized more and more internationally as well. It's about time that he gets this level of a name opponent to fight him. I think he's come a long way since the Billy Joe Saunders loss. He's gotten better. I think Roy Jones has helped him a lot in training. I don't know if you can convince Golovkin to go that route, or maybe still wait out Canelo, because probably there's a difference in money. But I think he stands a really good chance if he gets Golovkin right now.
Sugar Hill Stewart is also here today. We all know Tyson Fury comes to his last challenge against Dillian Whyte. Do you believe that Tyson Fury is done with boxing?
I kind of lean that way, yeah. I kind of lean that way. Now, does that mean he doesn't do these exhibitions? No. I think everybody starts to do these exhibitions. Even I get offered them. You know, I just don't do them. They even offer them to me. You know, so I think these exhibitions, a guy like Fury will be, they will be offered to him. I know there was rumors of the Ngannou thing going. That could be a mega selling exhibition. Huh?
A return to WWE.
A return to WWE. So he's got a lot of options when it comes to keeping his name in the mainstream, and also not risking his image as much, because if you keep taking these big risk fights, listen, I think he's the best heavyweight in the world. I don't think anybody beats him right now, but nonetheless, if you aren't even in the position to get beat, yet you can still keep yourself in your public image big with exhibition matches or WWE matches. I mean, you're in a no-lose situation while he's still getting paid. So I lean towards Fury being finished with competitive boxing, but I still can't see him just not being in the limelight. I think he's just too much of a character, too much of a big name, has had too much success where people just will not be able to stay away from him. They'll keep gravitating to him.
We understand that Deontay Wilder is the next in line to challenge for the WBC title. If it becomes vacant, would you like to see Dillian Whyte challenge Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that. I think that's a great fight. I think it will be fun. They're both coming off the losses to Fury, but I think they're both fun fighters to watch. And against one another, they'd be more fun. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight.
I'll let you carry on. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your stay in London.
Always.